It's 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. Some stories you're watching this Tuesday, May 27. Lawyer Princess Abante has been named spokesperson of the House of Representatives, the first non-lawmaker to hold the post since EDSA 1986. Abante says her role covers both the 19th and the 20th Congresses. She's the daughter of outgoing Representative Benny Abante. Two China Coast Guard vessels shadowed the Atenito ship in the West Philippine Sea. The Beijing vessels, China Coast Guard 3306 and CCG 21549, were spotted 3 to 5 nautical miles from the TS Capitan Felix Oca as it sailed towards Pagasa Island for the coalition's peace concert.
President Bongbong Marcos stressed the need to uphold freedom of navigation in the South China Sea and the Arabian Sea during the ASEAN Gulf Cooperation Council Summit in Malaysia. He said this is to ensure unhindered trade routes and protect marine resources. Marcos also highlighted the strategic importance of ASEAN-GCC ties for regional peace, security, and economic growth.
The odd-even scheme on EDSA will replace the current number coding system during the road rebuilding work. Vehicles with plates ending in odd numbers cannot fly EDSA on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, while even-numbered plates are barred from the major thoroughfare every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. There will be no restrictions on Sundays. The odd-even scheme will have a one-month dry run starting June 16 and will be implemented 24/7. Or 24/7. Okay. Electric and hybrid vehicles are exempt from the scheme.
And the Department of Justice is investigating the alleged multiple passports of former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla said Roque may have used different name details, allowing him to evade airport detection despite a lookout bulletin against him. Meantime, Roque denied the allegations and called them fake news. He says he only uses one valid passport, which is now with Dutch authorities for his asylum bid, and that he's not used any diplomatic passports since leaving government.
And joining us today, let's see if he's here. Wala pa siya, ang ating resident political pundit. Baka dumating mamaya, si Tito Rol Llamas. Pero ang pasok na ngayon pa lang ang Philippine Star Editor-in-Chief na si Ami Pamintuan. Ami.
Parang winning circle yan. Magic tool ba?
Kita mo naman ang kulay. Kita mo naman ang kulay, di ba bongga-bongga?
Hi, Ed.
Wow, Ami, you're a burst of sunshine in this gloomy day.
Parang ang lollipop.
What?
Sorry.
Ami,
Baka napagod si Ronald ka, nanood nung concert doon sa
Hindi
West
daw siya
Philippine
sumama
Sea.
eh.
Ganyan talaga pag matatanda eh.
Pero nanonood lang ng video. Panayang forward ng mga video eh.
Oo nga.
But to be fair to Ronald, he's there to send them off.
Send off lang
So
naman
nasa
siya.
Palawan lang siya.
Siya
But the shore,
agitator.
nakatayo lang siya sa shore, waving goodbye, ganon.
Send the troops
Saka
off to battle.
pinaforward nga yung mga sinashadow ng mga Chinese ship, yung Aten, gano'n.
Yeah.
Saka kunyari nanonood nung K-pop performance, kunyari lang.
So 2 Chinese vessels now are shadowing the
Yes.
convoy. Actually, that also happened to us in December 2023. They were shadowing us, including the Chinese Navy. Pero naplaning si Kapitan
Umiwas.
of the same boat.
He rerouted.
Meron kami medyo kasalubong na Chinese Coast Guard. Pag ganun dapat yan. Biglang the Chinese Coast Guard vessel turned in our direction, gumanon.
Oo.
And
So
sped up.
blocking it, trying to block your path.
Medyo malayo pa siya, pero makikita mo sa video talagang gumanon siya, tapos sped towards us. So nagpanic si Kapitan, nag-U-turn. I was by the bridge, nakita ko parang
Umiikot.
yung wake natin paliko. Kapitan!
I remember this incident, but at that time, they were explaining because ang dami nilang dalang civilians, they didn't want to risk any, nasty encounters with the Chinese Coast Guard or maritime militia. They're trying to play it safe. Fair enough.
Mas marami
Kasi
silang civilians
you're
talaga
carrying
yan.
civilians. Mas maraming this time around?
May banda pa eh.
Oo nga, sa bagay.
Hindi lang, dati,
Matapang na musician.
dati reporters lang, may banda eh. Tapos,
Ano ba malinaw ba sa iyo yung rule diyan, Ed? Kasi parang playing chicken, 'di ba?
well, basically,
Ano bang rule diyan?
these are
Sino ba dapat
international
umiwas?
seas eh. These are international seas eh. In international seas, actually, not just international seas, but whatever you are, the rule is, kung may kasalubong ka, you both turn right. Tama ba yun? Shook.
Both turn right.
Yeah, shook
Dapat
ka
parehong
ganun.
iiwas, di ba?
Oo. I think, if I remember right, ganun eh. Gagawin kayo dapat eh. So, never kayo magsasalubong dapat ng ganun. As a general rule, and it was an aggressive maneuver on the part of the Chinese. Clearly, kaya nagpanik si Kapitan.
Hindi, kasi lagi nilang sinasabi, tayo daw yung agresibo.
Well,
Kaya nga, when do you start swerving right?
Kaya nga, what's the
Meron din bang distance yan?
maximum
You're not
minimum
supposed-
distance?
Actually, well, it's hard to tell. Pero the rule kasi with boats is that, you don't have brakes.
Oo nga kaya nga, di
You
ba?
have inertia.
Pag simula mo ba nung warning, di ba mag-ano yan magsasend dyan ng warning na eto, ganito, you're in our space, ganon.
Yeah.
Saka ba kailangan mag-iiwasan na kayo? Ganon ba yun?
Well, you're not even supposed to be blocking anybody physically kasi nga walang pwedeng barko. So you're magiging palakasan ng ng kaha.
Oo.
Talo tayo doon.
So basta pag nagkita kayo at mukhang magkakabanggaan na kayo, iwas na kayo. Ganon na lang yun.
Well, ganun talaga dapat. Not unless
Chicken.
Not unless it's intentional. Then it's a different story altogether. Remember, the Chinese vessels, including the militia, they have reinforced bows. As in talagang mas makapal ang harap nila.
Tumatabi talaga sila eh.
Oo. Kinapalan talaga yung
Tumatabi
harap.
talaga sila.
So it's good for ramming and for playing chicken. Kasi if you play chicken with them, you become chicken barbecue.
Nek.
Matutuhog ka. Matutuhog ka.
Correct.
Okay, Ed. Thank you for trying. Pero we get your point, though. Sinong analyst kayo nagsabi sa atin noon that that's one way to reinforce your maritime fleet, right? Hindi naman necessarily you have to buy new ships, new boats all the time, but you can outfit it with military-like reinforcements.
House, especially the front. Kasi yung
Tsaka
front
yung
yung
bow.
pambangga mo eh. Yeah, the bow.
Lalo na yung bow na parating na nababangga.
The front is called the bow, the nose of the ship. Yun ang pansagi mo tsaka panggit-git mo eh. And you also want to put in stronger engines and stronger water cannons.
Di ba pwede yung parang yung para sa go-kart, merong mga nakapaligid na
Lalagyan mo
gano'n.
ng bumper?
Kahit magsalpukan kayo.
Lalagyan mo ng gulong, ganun.
Yung goma, hindi ba? Di ba?
Yung
Dami.
parang rubber, rubber
di ba? Stable din yun,
rubber
stable.
borders para pag
Oo nga,
bumangga.
di ba?
Then that defeats the purpose of frightening them away. They might enjoy it eh. Diba? Ginawa mong go-kart eh.
From the sea to let's go to land this time because marami pa rin tanong with this new nga ba? The odd-even
magulo.
scheme. Yes, so correction lang sa binasa ni Ed kanina's headlines, the odd-even scheme is not going to run simultaneously with the existing number coding scheme.
Anong EDSA?
Along EDSA lang.
EDSA, lang yan, odd-even lang yan.
Sa odd-even
Alone.
lang. As effective June 16, odd-even lang yung scheme sa EDSA, hindi magsasabay sa number coding scheme. The problem is, if you're coming from, say, Makati, nasa Makati, then you have to plot your route. Kung bawal yung kotse mo sa Makati Avenue, and then bawal din sa EDSA, well...
You can cross, di ba? You can cross naman.
You can cross, pero
You can cross.
masisira ang ulo ni Waze.
Hindi na mabasa yan ni Waze kasi you have to calculate eh.
Makakatawid ka ng EDSA naman, di ba? Yung bawat na kotse,
Well, you can
tumawid.
cross EDSA even if you're not allowed
Yes, you can cross.
to
Oo.
go through EDSA by the odd-even
Kaya lang,
scheme.
punta ka sa alternate
Pwede ka tumawid,
routes.
bale. You can cross the street lang. But mind you,
But-
for example, there are some LGUs that
That's what
have
I'm saying.
their own they have their own laws. Like Makati, walang window
Makati.
hours yan.
Correct.
For
Makati lang.
number coding.
Yes, that's what I mean. So So if you're
Oo.
coming from a business meeting in
Good by
Makati,
feelings ka.
good luck sa'yo. You have to calculate your routes before you head out.
Yeah.
Tapos say, ano ba yung plaka ng kotse mo? And then you have to make sure
Iikot
that you
ka sa
know.
port area.
Correct.
Ikot ng port area.
Port area.
Medyo malayo.
All the way to the port area, balik dito to come back down para lang maka-avoid
Ikot
ng
ka.
may odd even din sa Rojas. So,
Oh,
it's very
Sa
strict.
Makatagal mukhang nawala eh.
Ay, sorry, not
Coding,
odd
coding.
even. Number coding pala. Number coding, sorry.
Actually, the whole of Metro Manila except for EDSA.
Yes, so we're trying to get more clarity on how they came up with this as a
Tapos
solution.
yung odd even what I read was wala pa yung tiketan for that 1 month is dry run.
1 month or 1 week?
Dry run pa lang.
week.
1 month. 1 week is too short
1
for
month.
them. Oh, 1 month, 1 month. I think that
1
was
month.
clarified with them Was it, why not 1 week? Hindi, kasi 1 week is too short daw for a dry run.
Tapos ngayon, pinag-aaralan na naman yung papayagan ba yung hybrid saka yung electric.
Oo, kasi dami
Kasi
naman
dami ng ano eh. And I think that's intended for pero wala
It's supposed to
naman
be an
jeep sa
incentive
EDSA.
for you to buy
I think it's
electric.
intended for the modern jeep. Para tuloy-tuloy pa rin sila, di ba?
Hindi, pero
Yung
ang
modern
jeep naman,
karamihan dyan, electric
ang jeep
eh.
naman hindi naman kasama sa coding, di ba?
Hindi kasama sa
Hindi kasama.
odd even scheme
Kasama
ang
sila.
PUVs?
Yeah.
Kasama ang
Kasama-
PUVs.
Ang taxi nga tayo, hindi kasama sa code sa number sa odd even eh.
Ang TNBS ang hindi kasama, TNBS.
Dami-
Meron daw silang
dami tanong mo.
some sticker
Exactly.
yata eh.
Exactly. Hindi kasama ang PUV sa
Yes,
ano?
hindi
That's what I
kasama.
thought. Pero ito sabi ni Ami, yung TNVS hindi rin kasama.
Oh, yun ang sabi kagabi ha. As of kagabi, ang gulo-gulo nga eh. Kagabi yung TNBS daw, hindi kasama. O hindi natin alam. Kasi
So,
meron daw
all those
stickers. Kasi
questions.
sabi ko, paano mo malalaman kung alin yung coaching Grab?
Oo nga, wala namang logo yung yung coaching
So,
club eh.
so if flag down nila lahat.
Hindi,
Oo nga eh.
NCAP
Kaya
eh.
hindi, medyo magulo
Makukuha
siya.
mo lang
Medyo
ticket
magulo.
after a month.
It's
And then you dispute
I
it
have
pa.
to, hindi lang medyo magulo. I'm sorry to say it, but masyadong magulo because we've been asking this question since the start of the year. Kasi start of the year pa lang, alam na natin magkakaroon ng major EDSA rehab. So March pa lang, we were asking for the traffic alleviation plan na. But at that time, they kept saying, it will start in April and then we'll give you the plan in 2 weeks before that. Well, here we are. End of May na, magjo-June na, saka pa lang ina-announce ng mga ganito. The other thing is, si MMDA Chair Romando Artes said, they are doing the odd-even scheme to reduce vehicles on the road by 40%. Ang gusto ko malaman doon is, how did you come up with this figure, right? Was that just a random estimate or somebody made that study and said, okay, if we take out all these cars, that's gonna take you down to minus 40%? Hindi
Baka
klaro.
Kasi mga ngalahati daw eh. Odd even eh, mga ngalahati.
You have a 50% chance of being odd versus 50%
Yeah,
chance
pero
of being even.
did you count all the people who will take new cars
Or
or
is
get
it
new
randomized,
cars
no?
for just to get around the odd even
yan
scheme?
ang iniisip nila ngayon dyan sa exemption to electric vehicles. Baka lalong dumami yung bumibili. Ang lakas-lakas ngayon ng isang brand, di ko nababanggitin ha. Isang brand ng electric vehicle lang. Haba-haba ng pila, waiting list.
Talaga?
sa
Baka,
pagbili.
mahal naman
That
kasi
was
mga yan
before
eh.
this
Hindi,
thing
nagmura
came
na.
out.
Alam mo, may na-discover akong murang-mura, made in Vietnam. I won't say the brand na. Mura siya, tapos may monthly ka. Kasi the battery is not yours. Kasi di ba, after so many years, you have to replace the battery. Instead of having to replace the battery, you're actually just renting the battery every month.
Oh, okay.
So
Yun
you
yung
don't-
business model nila.
Oh, you don't
You
have to
rent it
buy
from
the battery.
them.
You rent the battery every may monthly ka.
Okay,
Kasi
monthly
diba,
fee.
ang laking bagsak kasi pag if you have to replace the
Yes.
battery, that's how many hundred thousands eh. And diba, that's the
Oh,
only
yun ang
thing that's powering
pinakaano
you
dun
eh.
Well, that's an interesting business model.
Hindi mo pwede lagyan ng double A yan eh.
You.
Hindi kasi yun yung problema ng yung sinasabi ko sikat na brand, yung resale value niya, 0 eh.
Oo.
Kasi pag natapos ka na, wala na, hindi mo na magagamit siya pag naubos na yung battery life.
Yeah.
Hindi na siya pwede eh.
Yeah.
Kaya lang, normal naman yung under normal use, siguro buti na ng mga 8 years, no? 8 years.
Yeah, but by which
ewan
time
ko
you have to have had enough savings to buy a new set of batteries.
Yes.
Eh. Otherwise,
Yan na nga.
tenga ka sa garahe.
Yan na nga.
Okay, magdadala ka mahabang extension cord.
hindi rin naabot kasi walang charging stations. Saan mo pa plug
Wala
in?
tayong infrastructure.
Walang infrastructure. I mean, still very few, right? At saka in any case, ano lang yun eh, it's a solution for very few people. It's a only a very small subset of people can afford to buy a new car, right? So what about the rest of us na have to get to work every day pa rin, right? Wala naman tayong work from home option. I don't know. I have no answers. Kasi kaya we've been trying to get MMDA and DOTR, pero so
That's
far.
another thing we were talking about earlier this morning during during a real Storycon. we have a real Storycon every morning talking about issues. What's the whole point of doing this concreting, the reconcreting of
Yun ang
of
tinatanong nga ng mga tao.
Diba?
Kasi ang official statement nga, sinabi ko nga, it's for the ASEAN Summit daw. Alam mo na kung nakikita ang diferensya diyang malaki for Di ba?
What do you do? Are you just going to place a new layer of concrete over everything? Therefore, there will be no change.
Well, I'm not a regular EDSA user. Pero kayo,
I'm a
ganun
regular
ba kasira
EDSA
yung EDSA?
Diba?
I'm not sure. Ganun ba kasama ang kalye ng EDSA? Hindi ko alam eh.
Hindi ganun kasama dahil hindi naman siya mabilis. I mean, ramdam mo yung masamang kalye pag mabilis ka eh. Hindi ka bumibilis sa EDSA kasi traffic eh.
I passed through EDSA today. To be fair, okay naman siya. The cars were moving moderate speed. Pero the point is still, the question there is still, is this just a beautification project? Or may ano ba talaga?
Ano ba quality ng road? Bakit siya kailangan palitan?
Oo. Bakit kailangan
hindi ko alam eh.
Bakit kailangan yung buong stretch? Kailangan palitan?
For 2 years, we'll
kasi
be going to this. Kasi
pwede naman yung by segment eh. In fairness to Mark Villar, nung siya yung DPWH, ganyan yung ginagawa nila para hindi sobrang disruptive ang ang construction eh. Ginagawa nilang by segment eh. Para tuloy-tuloy, wala kayo sasakang kalye. Meron kayo, pero pa konti-konti.
Dapat naman talaga. Oo, dapat naman talaga ganun. So if you're going to do a major overhaul, major revamp, the question there is why, right? What's the goal?
Kumbaga,
So far ang naririnig pa lang natin is they will lay new concrete. So papagandahin lang yung road. They're gonna make it smooth. But
kung lagyan mo nga ng bagong layer yan, bibilis ba mawawala ba yung traffic?
Well, sabi ni DPWH Secretary in a separate interview, sabi niya, the traffic will flow more freely. Hindi ko alam if he was joking.
Really. Kasi,
of course, not really. Kasi
yung mga choke points mo kasi your choke points don't have bad roads. For example, a major choke point is EDSA Ortigas. Pag nag-choke point sa EDSA Ortigas, tukod yan hanggang Guadalupe. Pero okay naman ang kalsada sa EDSA Ortigas. So it's not so much the condition of the road as it is the management of the traffic.
It's the management of the traffic as always. Okay.
The same I think with Cubao. Parang wala naman nakitang major problem with Cubao per se.
Kaya
ayan, nakikita natin, makinis naman yung kalyeng yan.
Passable naman.
Hindi ba nakakahinayang kung wawasakin mo yung kalyeng yan?
Oo, inconveniencing tens of thousands of people every day for what? Hindi ko alam.
Pang election budget.
Okay, let's move on now. Let's move on now to politics. Let's bring in our first guest for the day, political analyst and environmental activist, Professor Tony Lavinia. Welcome back to Storycon, Dean. Good afternoon.
Hi, Dean.
Kumusta? Hi, everyone.
Hi, sir.
Lumabas lang ako sa hearing.
Ay, ganun ba? Anong hearing niyo din?
Anong hearing, sir?
Hindi, tungkol sa environmental agenda for the 20th Congress.
Since we're on the topic, Dean, segue na tayo sa DENR. I noticed that you're pretty happy about the revamp there. You're pretty happy about DOE, Energy Secretary Popotilla being moved to DENR. I wonder if you could tell us why.
Yeah. But first of all, I want to clarify, we were happy also with Secretary Loizaga. So we have nothing to, we praise her, we thank her. But for sure, Secretary Lutilla will be a good probably even the best environmental secretaries we have because of his background. No? People forget na before he became energy secretary, he was an expert in sustainable development. In NEDA. No, nasa NEDA siya. And then one time, he also headed an international regional organization called Partnership for the Environmental Management of the Seas of East Asia. So may background si Professor Secretary Letilla, of course, professor of law for a long time. He was my mentor and teacher in UP Law, and we were close colleagues there. No? So he's very prepared for this position. I think he obviously has a understanding of a bureaucracy. I think more than Secretary Loizaga. Di ba? Ang palaging challenges for a good secretary like Secretary Loizaga, then former Secretary, and also Lopez, Gina Lopez, is they're coming from outside. So they really don't know how the bureaucracy works. Si Secretary Tortilla knows how the bureaucracy works and will be really a good secretary because of that. Diba? He knows what the problems are. He knows what the conflict of interest are. But definitely, the ENR is a much more difficult job than the DOE. Mahirap ang DENR. Sa DOE, binary ang choices mo. Renewable, coal, to o yan. Sa DENR, ang dami mong i-take into consideration bago mo ma-decide.
Di nabanggit mo yan. In fact, ang isang sinasabi nilang concern about the appointment of a former energy secretary, may conflict daw yung energy development sa environment. What do you say about those criticisms?
Totoo yun, kasi energy development is like an extractive industry, di ba?
Yes.
Kasi papasok siya, di ba? But precisely, maganda nga na mayroong environmental secretary na may ganung background. No? He has to change his perspective now. Hindi na siya energy development, di ba? But he is now going to have to protect and conserve natural resources while sustainably managing it. Di ba? Hindi naman ibig sabihin na hindi na siya pwedeng mag-energy development. Pero alam mo, sa protected areas, bawal ang energy. Protected areas, bawal ang mining, di ba? Bawal ang logging. So he has to balance that. But if you know Papa Lotilla, Amy, walang problema sa ganyan. Ito yung isa sa pinakamabait, pinaka-fair, pinaka-competent, pinaka-intellectual na government official that you can find. At talagang simple buhay, zero corruption yan siya, incorruptible, di ba? Wala talaga siyang wala siyang sariling interest dito.
Din, if I can look at the others na yung iniintay pa natin hanggang ngayon, wala actually hanggang bukas siguro, kung ano mangyayari. Mga pending pa eh. And these are the frontline agencies, these are the agencies that deal directly with people, not like DOF and so on down the line. For example, DSWD, DOH, DepEd, DOTR, they're all DA. They're all pending. Wala pa kayong fearless forecast kung sinong...
Or sino ba dapat?
Kung sinong who will come and who will go?
He's talking about the cabinet revamp.
Oh, yes, sir.
Ano, Ami?
Cabinet revamp yung tinatanong nila. Actually, ang speculation, mga 5 or 6 pa daw baka mapalitan.
Hindi ko alam kung sino pang ibang papalitan. Ang alam ko na the transition dito is mangyayari na soon, no? Kasi Congress will, di ba? Will assume soon. So, kailangan, otherwise, hindi maka-assume kung dapat interim capacity. I think before Congress has to be, So, I think they chose Popo Lotilla for DNR kasi mahirap siya i-feel.
Oo. Pero din Tony, ano yung sense mo Ano yung sense niyo, sir, overall about the way the cabinet reset was handled?
Well, going that in general naman, medyo for me problematic, no? Kasi you had a reset, you promised a reset, and then you end up what? How many are you replacing, di ba? Replacing. Yung iba kasi pinopromote mo, nilalagay mo somewhere else, di ba? So you don't give the impression of a reset. Example, uh, isang problema ni President Marcos, ay economy. Di ba? Galit ng mga tao kasi ang hirap ng mga buhay nila. But wala na siyang pinalitan sa kanyang economic managers. Pare-pareho lang, di ba? I'm not attacking any one of them. I respect them, I like them. But it doesn't give a nice picture na walang pinalitan sa economic managers when people will say, yan ang pinaka-issue nila sa Marcos administration when they voted against the Marcos administration, di ba? In the last election. So, that for me is, parang you made a promise, tawagan namin doon, National Resignation Day, di ba? Nag-resign lahat. Ay, hindi pala. Kunti lang pala papalitan.
Din, let me reframe my question na kung kayo po ang Pangulo, sinong papalitan niyo sa mga ito? For example, may pending pa, gaya sabi ko, agriculture, DSWD, DOH, DepEd, DOTR, these are major agencies nga eh. Kung kayo po ang namumuno, tingin niyo saan dapat ilulugar yung
I don't have the data to tell you that, kung sino yung performing or underperforming, di ba? So I can't say who is to be replaced. I think ang perception na sana na kung may mga i-replace, yung mga aggressive, mga, di ba yung mga new blood, di ba, young blood, yun sana ang i-replace. Pero if you're gonna have more of the same, bakit pa? I mean, pwede ka naman talaga magpalit as president ng cabinet mo, di ba? In one time. But you didn't have to make a promise na this is a revamp, this is a reset, di ba? I heard Paul. Yun ang sinabi ni President Marcos, narinig daw niya yung tao, di ba? Really, sa akin, as far as I'm concerned, dalawa lang talagang real change, di ba? Si Secretary Letilia for DNI and the Secretary of Housing, di ba? The rest seems to me to be parang, di ba? I mean, Senator Secretary Manalo, I think he probably welcomes being back in New York as ambassador, di ba? Of the permanent mission, di ba? Of course, Secretary Lazaro is very good. Di ba? Welcome ko naman yung appointment na yun. But wala namang reset talaga doon, di ba? These are all solid foreign affairs people, di ba? So I think people are still waiting kung sino pang papalitan na, di ba, na that means something to them, di ba? Sana magpalitan, di ba? Of course, si Secretary Angara, kakaupo lang, who's doing very well. Sana naman, Secretary Benitez, di ba? Huwag naman siya palitan kasi magagaling talaga yung dalawang yun, di ba? Ako personally, I will not say sino papalitan, but I will say kung sino hindi dapat palitan. Si Secretary Gatchalian, hindi rin dapat palitan kasi magaling talaga si Secretary Gatchalian sa nakikita ko.
Dean, before we might run out of time, but I did want to talk to you about one other topic, which is yung DILG asking the ICC talking to the ICC to see if former President Duterte can take his oath. Diba, sir, we were just talking about this last week, about how it's very difficult because he has to do it on Philippine soil and be administered by a Philippine official. And you were saying na the government shouldn't let him do it kasi it sets a precedent. So what do you think about this now, the DILG?
I was surprised. Diba? It shows weakness on the part of the Marcos administration. It shows very real weakness, no? To let the ICC decide this instead of them deciding it, di ba? Pangalawa, I think wrong sila doon, mali sila legally, na you take your oath while not in Philippine soil. I think you have to take your oath in Philippine soil, no? So it has to be in the U.S. Embassy. So dapat ang permission, not that a consular officer go there to take the oath, to give him the oath, but for him to go to the embassy. So sa akin, mali yung yung Secretary Mulya, if that's true na sinabi niya yun. Kailangan ng Philippine soil ang oath take. Otherwise, di ba, anyone can take an oath anywhere else, di ba? As long as may authorized official, di ba? That's a very bad precedent.
Bakit weakness, sir? Why do you see it as weakness?
it's weakness because, di ba, they are, di ba, the Dutertes and the Marcos are, di ba, are facing off each other. Di ba? I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Magkalaban sila. Bakit mo tutulog kalaban mo? Di ba? That's a sign of weakness in my view.
Din, teka, pahabol na rin. Sorry Yesterday, may lumabas na storya quoting the administration officials of the House, I think it was the majority leader, saying na majority of the Liberal Party congressmen are opting to be part of the super majority. Again, this is coming from the administration congressmen. We checked with Erin Tanyada kanina, ang sabi niya they haven't decided on that yet. Wala pa silang final. But what do you think of that possibility? Kasi sabi ni Erin din kasi kanina, they're open to alliances, including with the administration. What do you think of that? Specifically, an alliance between the LP and the Marcos administration.
It's up that they know their politics. Except, this is my view, personal.
Opo.
I think an alliance is a kiss of death politically for 2020. Di ba, the writing on the wall anyone may bahid suporta ni Marcos will matatalo sa 2020, di ba? So be careful, kasi baka lahat yan, di ba?
Will come back to bite you.
So akin yun ang pakiramdam ko. Di ba? At tingnan mo si Bam and si Kiko are very careful, di ba? Na dependent sila both from Duterte and Marcos, di ba? Yun ang importante. Now, iba na yun sa alliances within the House or the Senate, di ba? Magkaiba yun. Ang tawag natin dyan, tactical alliance, di ba? On a case-to-case, impeachment, pwede mag-tactical alliance.
Okay.
Part of majority, problema yun sa tingin ko. I prefer na akbayan, mamayang liberal will join the makabayan, it being the minority.
Okay. We'll leave that there for now because we have run out of time. But thank you so much for joining Storycon and stepping away from your hearing, sir. That's Tony Lavinia, political analyst and environmental activist and former dean.
Thanks,
You're
sir.
watching
Thank you,
Storycon.
Dean.
You're watching Storycon on One News. We just need to take a very quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group. This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
We've got developing news and the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Regina Lay, still with us, Ami Pamintun of the Philippine Star.
Nga pala, si Ronald, okay. Also, Jonas, kasi naman star.
may
Bitin
ellipsis.
ka eh. Okay.
Kasi dapat si Ronald yun, but he's not here.
Natatawa tuloy yung guest natin, okay. Join us today, our second guest, Erin Tañada, Executive Vice President of the Liberal Party. Sir, magandang hapon and welcome to Storycon.
Good afternoon, Ed, Regina, and Ami.
Okay. Sir, first things first, confirm ko lang yung title nyo. You are still EVP for the Liberal Party?
Well, I'm the acting president of the Liberal Party since Kong Edsel passed last January.
Okay. So, acting president na, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir. Sir, you had an interview earlier this morning with the Morning Matters where you said na hindi pa parang wala pang desisyon yung usapin ng kusasama sa supermajority yung Liberal Party, but you apparently said that you guys are open to an alliance, if I'm getting that right, with the supermajority. Is that correct?
Well, let's put it this way. We had a meeting last week of the incoming congressman-elect for the 20th Congress. And we were discussing the issue of the invitation of the current speaker to join the majority. And of course, it was a healthy discussion, but at the end of the day, one of the issues that
Oh, sir.
And fish.
I think
And
you.
fish.
Yes, sir. Sir, I think we lost you. Sir, could you repeat that? There you are. Sir, pakiulit, sir.
Yes.
Naputol kayo.
Kaya na, okay na.
yes, if we would either vote as a block or we would leave it to the
Individuals.
conscience of the members of the party. And so at the end, we decided, well, the congressman-elect, I was just facilitating the meeting, decided to table the issue until Senator-elect Kiko Pangilinan, who is the chairman of the Liberal Party, returns from the United States.
Pero sir, what is the party position as far as... kasi sometimes the party does take positions. Are members allowed to take contra positions to the party? Kasi in the last administration, for example, there was a case of Stella Kimbo, who was a member of the party, I think, until 2023. Even though she was clearly already with the supermajority. And the party said na parang the tradition of the LP is to allow members to take independent views, which may be dissenting or which may not be in agreement with the party. Pero yun, also the question, where does party discipline also come in? And where does the party position come in?
Well, that is the question that was put up in the meeting. Do we vote as a block? Or do we allow our members to, well, they're basically they are only 7, no, to decide themselves on what would be they would feel is the best interest with regard to their legislative districts. Also, we have to consider that the 6 members of Congress right now have specific legislative responsibilities, no, especially in their districts, and so they have to weigh this. And this is one of the reasons why we have decided to table the issue for further discussions. Kaya nagulat lang kami nung nag-statement ang Deputy Speaker of the 19th
Yes.
Congress, speaking in behalf of the Liberal Party when we have not
Payag na
yet
daw kayo.
taken any position.
Pero Mr. Tañada, I talked to Kiko Pangilinan and Shell Jokma and Laila de Lima after the elections. No, I was asking them about that possibility of an alliance because people are speculating about it. Ang sabi nila, pareho sila, sinabi nila, we can probably be allies on issues.
Yes.
On a case-to-case basis. Sabi
Yes.
nga, and especially sila Laila de Lima, they're quite emphatic na medyo malabo naman magka-alyansa kami with Marcos Jr.
Yes.
the administration of Marcos Jr. Kaya lang sabi niya, nakikita naman natin merong convergence on certain issues on a case-to-case basis. It's possible. Yung ganon pwede, yung ganong setup. Are you seeing that as well?
Well, yes, that may be a possibility. That's why we decided to table the issue, and then we have to specifically identify the issues that we would be disagreeing with the administration and issues where we could help. No, for example, if we talk about the 2025 budget, of course, very strongly we have a position with regard to that. So these are the issues that have to be threshed out, especially if there are some who feel uncomfortable in joining the supermajority. Kaya kailangan maging klaro yan. Kasi ang nagiging problema rin, ang choice mo ay basically tatlo, no? You join the majority, you join quote unquote the minority.
The minority. Mhm.
We know why there's a quote unquote minority.
Yes.
And you join the independent minority, which practically doesn't have any power at all. They are not members of the committee. They cannot vote in committees. All they can do is vote in plenary. So these are issues that have to be discussed with the 7 members, no, 6 of the Liberal Party and ML, with Congressman Laila De Lima on how to approach this matter. That's why we were surprised with the statement of Deputy Speaker J.J. Suarez without even mentioning who are the 4 who had actually signed or supported Speaker Martin.
Pero sir, 6 lang yan eh. I'm sure nag-text na kayo sa kanila kung sino alin. 6 lang naman yan eh.
Hindi.
Pero Mr. Tanyada, will there be an effort to will there be an effort to redefine, kasi rules lang naman yan ng House, di ba? Will you push for a redefinition of the minority sa House? Pwede naman yung baguhin, di ba?
In real, clear naman, based on my experience, no, clear naman yung rule. Ang nagiging problema, and this has been repeated, no, since the time of, if I'm not mistaken, President GMA, they would assign members of the majority to go with the minority in order to favor the minority, whoever minority leader will that be. So that's the difficulty there. Yung rules doesn't have that. Pero before voting happens, no, meron nang kumakausap ng mga ibang members, o doon ka muna sa kabila, no, aalagaan ka namin, pero ito yung kailangan iboto. So yun na mahirap doon, no, and which I hope, no, the only way that this may be changed is maybe if the speaker himself, no, would not get involved in the selection. No, of course he will not admit that in the selection of minority.
Talking about the speaker, yung invitation ni Speaker, sir, kay Attorney Laila De Lima and Chel Diokno to become part of the prosecution panel, was that meant to be an incentive or a sweetener of any sort?
If you look at the results of the elections, the 19th Congress lost 2 prosecutors. And since basically it will be the 20th Congress that would prosecute the case, then I think the speakers saw Chel Diokno and Laila De Lima as potential, no, substitutes for the Congress persons who lost in the elections. It was not a sweetener. There were no strings attached to it. It was offered and it was accepted. There was no mention you have to be part of the majority or else you will not get be part of the prosecution team.
So, sir, going back to the issue of the supermajority, well, it is not the first time nga na something like this has cropped up. I'm reverting back to what happened nung panahon ni Duterte, where he had Speaker Belmonte, the vice chairman of the Liberal Party, signing a covenant with the Duterte team at the start of the Congress of I don't forget which Congress that was, 18th yata yun. And then that went on for several years. I'm wondering lang, sir, if I suppose kasi meron kahit pa paano bare minimums and non-negotiables. Otherwise kasi malulusaw yung mga pinaglalaban ninyo, yung mga advokasya ninyo, malulusaw yan pag, for example, sumabak yung partido doon sa supermajority ng isang grupo kung saan matagal lang may gitgita at girian. You know what I mean, di ba?
Yes. Yes.
So kahit pa parang may non-negotiables po yan. I'm wondering what if there's been any discussion as to what those non-negotiables are.
Well, that's why we decided to table the issue further because we will have to identify. Natapos na nga yung usapin ng 19th Congress. Of course, we will see the presentation of the new budget come August of 2025, and if we're not comfortable with the way the budget is presented, the National Expenditure Program, then of course we have to speak our minds out with regard to this. So we will have to flesh out what are the non-negotiables with regard to the Liberal Party in certain key issues. And after we've done it, of course, we're going to inform the supposedly speaker-to-be that these are the positions that the Liberal Party intends to take.
Yes, sir. Although I wonder lang, sir, I wonder lang nung panahon ng nakaraang administrasyon, if it was, hindi pala, this administration yun eh. If it was clear, for example, to all the members kung ano yung mga non-negotiables. Kasi I remember nga in 2023, si Stella Kimbo was pushing for the granting of confidential funds to VP Duterte. Of course, she eventually changed her position.
Her stance, yeah.
Pero that was the time when she was pushing the confidential funds. That's the time she came under fire from the other LP members. And the position being, we have a tradition of allowing opposing
Independent
sides.
views.
So, but diba, that only goes to a degree.
So this is the reason why the issue of whether we vote as one comes in. No, do we vote as a block? The six LP members and ML vote as a block. And if that will be the case, then dapat everyone falls in line. So these are the things that were brought up in that meeting that we had, and of course we have to take into consideration also how our LP member in the Senate would position himself, because right now it seems that the fight for the Senate presidency also is getting heated. It's not only a 2-race, it might be even a 3-race contest. So it will greatly affect also the position of Senator Kiko at the end of the day.
Sino yung third person, sir?
Kumusta yung ano?
Wait, sino yung third person na alam niyo, sir?
Well,
Sa Senate presidency race.
I would say maybe the Duterte bloc might consider putting up a candidate for Senate presidency.
Senator Kiko Pangilinan is not interested? Or
No.
Senator-elect Bam
Si
Aquino?
Si Bam ang naririnig ko. Bam Aimee, Pero tatanungin ko, how's the consolidation of the opposition? Are you reaching out to other groups? Kasi of course at this point everyone's talking now about 2028 eh. And considering the performance of the candidates ng opposition traditional during the midterms, syempre nag-uusap-usap ngayon. Are you building on the gains, and are you talking to other groups, politics is addition? Are you talking, for example, to the PDP camp nila former, well, she's still a senator, Senator Coco. And ayun, kumusta yung, meron bang, are there even any moves for consolidation?
Well, Of course, if you look back at the 2022 experience, no, there was some sort of a last minute tent that gravitated
Yeah.
towards VP Lenny. And so we have to slowly build the blocks quietly because iba't ibang grupo ito eh. You have to earn their trust, no? If they're willing to first talk with you, consider the possible scenarios. Okay, if they're willing to talk to you, then maybe next, are they willing to take part in helping choose one candidate, a selection process for that matter, before we even talk about candidates. Kasi mahirap kung uunahin natin yung kung sino yung maganda yung showing sa election, no? Or kailangan may proseso na kailangan dumaan yan. And I would always go back to the experience of the conveners group in 1985, no, when there were also several opposition leaders who were interested in running, and they had to go through a selection process. And I think that is the track that we should take. And of course, it's a matter of building trust. Yeah, kung sino man ang magsisimula nito, kailangan pinagkakatiwalaan ng iba't ibang grupo.
The hard work of coalition building. We're going to have to leave that there for now. Thank you so much for joining Storycon this afternoon. That was Aaron Tanyada, acting president of the Liberal Party. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for joining Storycon. I'm May Pamintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star. Join us again tomorrow, 4 p.m. for Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.